everybody, and welcome back to a very, very different vlog this week. So there's no horses in sight. I do have little Elsa with me for emotional support. And I did want to record this at the yard earlier, but the weather was just shocking. So you're getting it now. So I basically put out on my Instagram stories a couple of weeks ago the cost of all the different things I was having to get for the new horse Ruby. And I sort of put it out there on my stories, like, would people be interested in knowing how much actually, oh hi Elsa, a new horse costs? So not just the purchase price, but actually all of the checks and everything that you've got to do, or, you know, you might want to do afterwards. And people seemed really keen. So I thought I would sit down. It's going to be quite a short vlog because it's just me going through some numbers. But I thought I would go through all the different things that I've spent since Ruby joined us. So she came to us, how long has she been with us now? A couple of weeks, 4 weeks maybe, something like that. I mean, I don't even know what day it is, but about 4 weeks, we'll go with 4 weeks. So what I've done is I've written down every single thing that she's had in terms of checks. I've written down every little thing that I've bought for her specifically. And I thought I'd share it with you. It's a little bit frightening. I'm not going to lie, it's a little bit frightening. So how much does it realistically cost to buy a horse? So what I will not be including, so the things that are excluded from this list are livery, because obviously that's an ongoing cost, the farrier, because that's an ongoing cost, haylage, feed and straw, because I buy them in bulk for the 3 horses, and it also excludes any transport costs to get her because she was dropped off. So just wanted to make that clear at the beginning, that they are additional costs that you'd need to add on to this. I mean, why do we do it? Why do we do it? It's honestly baffling. I'm also really hoping that my husband does not watch this vlog. But there we are. So, starting off, you've obviously got your purchase price. So before you even get the horse to your house, you've got to pay for the horse. And I'm not going to share how much Ruby cost me. It's not, it's not absolutely astronomical, but I'm not really comfortable sharing that. So you've got your purchase price, and that can be anything from a couple of £100 all the way up to whatever, the big bucks. So you've got your purchase price. That's not what I'm going to be covering in this vlog. What I'm going to be covering is then all the sort of hidden costs after that. Elsa, are you all right? I mean, Elsa's depressed by the thought of this. Imagine the amount of dog food and bones you could have for all the stuff that I've spent on horses. Hey? Anyway, right, so you've got your purchase price. And that can be pretty variable. I then went for a 5-stage vetting. That was not including x-rays. I was only going to have x-rays if there was something where the vet was like, not sure. The cost of a 5-stage vetting was £380, and that came out straight away. So as soon as the vetting was done, that cost came out. So we've got £380 there. We then paid for her insurance. So we have decided to insure Ruby. Obviously, she's going to be eventing and stuff and need her to be insured. And that initial cost was £150. And then there'll be a monthly cost kind of after that. I then had to do the change of ownership on her passport. And for that, her passport had to be sent to Ireland. And because it had to be sent to Ireland, obviously there was postage cost, but I also paid a higher postage cost because I wanted it back quite quickly because she then needed to be vaccinated. So the cost of the change of ownership with Irish sports horses and, is that what they're called? The Irish Horse Register, and the postage there came to £75 in total. I then had my lovely physio Sam come out and check her, which is something that I would always do. So this wasn't something just for Ruby. This was something I would always do. And she cost me £70. I then had my saddle checked and refitted to her. So this was luckily an existing saddle that I would manage to fit to her, because otherwise the cost of this one would be much bigger. But that in total, so refitting Obi's jump saddle to Ruby and how much that cost for the readjustments was £115. I then decided to get the dentist out. So I was hoping to stagger the dentist check. However, if you've watched one of my other vlogs, in fact, the last vlog, you'll see that I wasn't very happy with how much she was head tossing. She seemed uncomfortable. So I just put the dentist in and thought, you know, I've spent this amount now, I might as well just go for it. So that dentist check was £60. I then had to pay for Ruby's vaccinations. So Ruby came to me not vaccinated. And so we're having to do the first 3 equine flu and tetanus. And that so far, so we've done the first vaccination. She actually had the second one today. So I've incorporated the cost of that. Came to £114, but that excludes the vet visit because I've paid for that on, I mean, this is a minefield, guys, but I've paid for the vet visit cost on Obi's insurance because Obi was shockwaved before his final competition, and the cost of that went to that, and this was kind of an add-on, luckily, because otherwise it'd be another £28 or something like that. I've then done a worm count for Ruby as well at £11. So the total of all of those things, so that's your vetting, the dentist, physio, blah, 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 comes to a very eye-watering £975. So not only have I paid for the horse, then another grand's gone just on all of those things, but they are so important. And I just think physio, saddle, dentist, get them all checked, get it all done, and then you know you're starting from the best possible place that you can. So yeah, that's the first round of costs. The second things then, the sort of secondary things then, were the things that she specifically needed. So luckily I did not have to buy a new saddle because Elsa's left. Elsa's had enough of this. I didn't have to buy a new saddle, so I was able to refit Obi's saddle, otherwise this cost would be even bigger. So that was pretty lucky, to be fair. But she did need a new bridle because the boys' bridles just did not fit her. And if I'm honest with you, I sort of thought she deserves to have her own bridle, and mine are so old. And I think 3 of them I bought secondhand anyway. So I bought her own bridle from Premier Equine for £140. It's a really, really nice bridle, to be fair. I really like it and it suits her. But yeah, that was £140. I then bought her a travel rug and 2 girths of varying lengths because we weren't 100% sure what length she would need to be. And that cost an additional £118. I've then bought 2 different bits from Expert Bits for £65, and I'm in the process at the moment of trialling them. Luckily, though, one of them is actually the same bit that Franco has, so I didn't mind buying that so much because I thought I know that's a bit that I'm going to use again. And then I've bought other bits and bobs, so an outdoor rug, rain sheet, head collar, things like that. Mainly because my things are all quite old, so I do try and do hand-me-downs as much as possible. But she's bigger than Franco, she's bigger than Sooty was, and all Obi's things are getting quite old because I bought them when he was sort of younger. So unfortunately, there was a bit of beg, borrow and steal, which I've managed to do, but it has meant that there's been bits that I've had to buy. So those extra outdoor rugs and stuff like that were £160, although I did have a voucher from Christmas, so it actually only cost me £30 or £40 or something. But I've put the full cost in there because not everyone's going to have a voucher. And then the last thing that I've bought for her is overreach boots at £12. And actually, for all of that, I don't think it's too bad. But the cost of that came to £495. And obviously, that's a little bit more personal. I do normally do a bit more shopping on things like Vinted. There's an equestrian pre-love site that I've recently bought some dressage boots from. Like, that's normally where I'd go, but I thought, you know, she's been at a dealership, she's come from Ireland, she's probably never had anything bought specifically for her. So I did sort of splurge and get her some extra bits, which you could do much cheaper. But for full transparency, this is how much that I've spent to date. So that in total then, so we've got the £975, which was your vetting, your dentist, all of that stuff. And then the extra bits that I've bought specifically for her. And, you know, at this point, I've not bought her any boots. I've not bought, you know, martingales or travel gear or any of that stuff. Obviously, we've not got, you know, lessons and stuff booked in at the minute. Although actually, I do have my first lesson booked in with her on Friday. But that's a more ongoing cost. But the sort of bridles and bits came to £495 in total, which means that the grand total of how much I've spent in a month on a new horse, after already spending a bit of money buying the horse, came to £1,470. Which is an awful lot of money. And then you think as well, I mean, am I talking myself out of having horses here? I'm not sure. But then you think as well, like, I'm eventing Franco this weekend, and the cost of that, it's just going up and up and up. So it is a huge amount, but I think it's really important to share that you know, we think about buying a horse and the cost of the horse, but there's all these hidden costs, and if you're going to do it properly, it is worth, you know, in my opinion, I think it's worth getting a vetting if you then want to have them insured. It's worth getting your dentist, your physio, and all of that. So I wanted to share what the hidden costs were. Because hopefully you'll find it interesting and useful. But anyway, that is it for this vlog. That's all I'm going to share this week. It's just a quick vlog to go through that because, as I say, it was popular on my Instagram stories. So I really hope you found that useful. 2 other things I was going to plug. The first thing is that me, Shelley from Everyday Eventers, and Ali from Right Who Forward have launched a brand new podcast called Hold My Horse, I'm Talking. The first episode went out last Thursday, and the next one will be out tomorrow. So please do go check that out. I'll put a link somewhere on this video so that you can go check that out. And then the second thing I was going to plug is that, as I've mentioned, me and Franco are at our first event on Saturday. So we are going to Epworth. Never been to Epworth before. We're doing the B100 Plus, which is a novice dressage test, a 105 show jumping, and a 100 cross country, just to sort of push ourselves a little bit. So next week's vlog will be that, which will be very, very exciting. But I hope you've enjoyed this slightly different vlog. I'm going to go and enjoy the rest of my coffee, and I'll see you all very soon. Bye-bye!